All right. Welcome to episode number 19 of the Dan Time Podcast. You're back. I'm back. I'm your host, Dan McCardle. Thanks for listening to the show. If you're here for the first time, you're not familiar with it, I'll get into it in a few minutes. But this week, I've got a very special guest. This is someone, if some of you are a fan of Jim Powell and the couple times that you've gotten some exposure to him, let me tell you, you're going to love today's guest. I have been waiting multiple weeks for this occasion. This is someone that I guess I'd say I got a few people in the back pocket, and when it feels right and the time is right, it's time to just roll them out here. We got my brother Rob for a bonus episode. That was a blast. I have a great time doing these because these are people that I have some history with. They're funny. First of all, to be on this show, you do not have to be a stand-up comedian, which I have had, and I'm really proud of those guys. But you got to have a sense of humor. I think that's a good filter for this show. So if you can laugh a little bit, you don't have to tell the jokes, but if you can not laugh at my jokes, but you know what I'm saying, you are a good fit for the show. I'm going to stop talking, and this is not your typical well-produced intro. This is just me freewheeling here. Folks, today's guest, my very good friend, Emily Haynes Cook. I have not talked to Emily. Another great thing about this show, I might have a guest on that it's been a number of years since we've spoken. So when we're going live here, like with Dani Rubio, a couple other people, Dan Weinrib, it was the first time that we actually talked in a number of years. So that's extra fun. Without further ado, with that being said, Emily, it really is just fantastic to be talking to you. How are you doing today?
Dan, I'm great. Just talking to you is just a pleasure.
Well, thanks for carving out some time. Everybody's
Of
busy.
course.
We talked about this a little bit, kind of off and on. Folks, Emily and I have a history that goes back, I can't believe it. I think it's about 15 years. It was either
Yeah, it's shocking that it's that long ago because it doesn't feel that way.
2008, 2009, in the service industry. For any of my listeners who have a history in the service industry or you're in it now, you're going to love this conversation. We're not going to spend the whole time talking about it, but it's just something that it leaves its mark on you, and you leave your mark on that place in history too. Emily, she's responsible. This is another reason why I wanted her to be on the show. Emily, you are responsible for pulling me out of the darkness of
Ouch.
that world, that lifestyle,
Yes.
that shift work, and into the fluorescent light of the office environment.
Oh man, I'm sorry I did that to you, Dan.
I remember being so excited. I mean, I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. I was really looking forward to the change and getting some good structure, but I will never forget that first day, the first week, and it's 9 o'clock. You're not quite used to. I mean, 9 o'clock is kind of late now, but I just remember
Right.
sitting there thinking, "Oh, this is what the rest of the world
This is what the rest of the world does. Yeah.
all the time."
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for getting me on track. I was drifting.
Well, weren't we all, Dan? Weren't we all? We were
What are
just riding the wave.
what are your thoughts when you think back to those days? We worked at some of you guys may have one of these near where you live. Firebird's Wood Fired Grill. Fantastic food. I still know people that work there. What are your memories and what's your takeaway when you look back on that time period?
Yeah, so Firebirds, I don't think it's called Wood Fire Girl anymore. I think they've like rebranded and it's something different now, but it still carries the Firebird name. But yeah, so I worked there for 7 years. That's the longest job I've ever had, still to date. 7 years of employment at Firebirds. But
That's
that
right.
was a good chunk of my adulthood, I guess you could say, my young adulthood. And it was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I met really great people. I mean, it was probably, to be honest, like one of the, well, okay, not to be honest, but it was a great time in my life. But I was almost about to say the funnest time in my life. But I think now having kids is probably my most fun. But I guess my most selfish fun, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
it was appropriate for the time.
Yes, for sure.
And can you imagine if someone back then had come to you and said, "Listen, I know you're not going to believe me, but in about 10 years, you're going to have children and all this is going to die down. You're going to have very organized days and
Yeah.
bedtimes and you're going to love it."
You would have believed it, Dan.
I don't know. Maybe I was kind of looking for that in the back of my
Yes,
mind.
you were. Well, I think about this a lot actually, but you were always kind of looking for your lifestyle now. You would always talk about like wanting to be a dad and all of that. And yeah, I think
See,
you were there for the party, but
yeah.
you're always looking for a little bit of what you got now.
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember that or expressing that to people because
Uh-huh.
when it wasn't quite in place yet, I guess I'm like, well, what you not so much what else is there to do. It was like, how much fun can I have other than doing that?
Yeah.
Um, Being out late at night.
The after party.
Where's the after party?
Where's
Where's
where's the after party?
where's some live music? But I mean, I was as responsible as I could be back then,
Yeah.
and I came to Firebirds at the time. I was working for the Birmingham News, and I liked the direction it was going around '06 when I started. But when the market crashed, they started laying off or offering to buy out the contracts of the older employees. And I wasn't getting the assignments that I wanted. And I thought, well, I got to make some money because it really wasn't a very lucrative job. I mean, it kind of puts you around some interesting people. But I had been
Hmm.
in the service industry and I thought maybe now's a good time to. And was trying to find a restaurant that was, I guess none of them are recession proof, but where their clientele was a little higher end.
Yeah.
So that's how Firebirds came to be. But I really
Yeah.
had no idea that I would make the lasting friendships that I made.
I know we made some good ones there. I wish I talked to more people still, but I still have a few that are like just integrated into my life.
I'm embarrassed to ask because
Hmm.
people listening, it really has been that long. I have kept track of, I think, the birth of your first child. I was aware of a second. Is there a third?
There is a third, Dan. The third came as, it shook the ground of which I walked on. It was a shock, but yeah, there's a third. I have a boy named Bailey. He is now 3. So yeah, I've got three kids, and
How about
it's
that?
it's busy. It's
You've
busy,
got
Dan.
two girls and a boy in that
That's right.
order. I've got two boys and a girl in that order.
I didn't know you had a third.
Yeah, we have our daughter Vivian.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, you know what it's like then.
Yes,
I
and
feel like these other parents, I feel like when you meet a parent that has 3 as well, let's not even talk about the ones that have the fourth, because that's just insane. But the ones that have the third, you immediately are like, okay, you know what I'm going through.
yeah,
So yeah,
there's a special club that you just enter into,
yeah,
especially
uh-huh,
especially if a couple of them are close in age. Like
right,
so, we've got Warren. You've seen Warren
yes,
probably when he was maybe a year and a half the last time. So he's 6.
yeah,
He's got a little distance on the next our little boy Wyatt. He's the middle boy,
mm-hmm.
so he's 2.5, and then about 12 and a half months difference between him and Vivian.
Oh wow,
It's wonderful when all the dust settles, everyone's in their beds, the house is quiet, and it's nice when you first wake up on the weekend mornings. And it's nice when you're traveling and you look in the back seat, the rear view, everybody's sleeping.
yeah,
And then there's a lot of other times where they're they're being good for about 13 minutes before something happens, somebody runs into something or makes somebody upset.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Right. Of
How do
course
you
not.
I was going to ask so I've got a few questions. Like how has being a mom or what has being a mom taught you about patience with
Oh
having
man.
a few kids? And kind of like you got things that you're interested in, and you have to push those off to the side for
Right.
a week or a
I
year.
think yeah, the biggest thing I've learned about patience is that I have none, Dan. I am very yeah, I mean I know I have to have some, but I'm terrible at it. But I've always known that. I've always gotten like super irritated with the slow walkers
Uh
and
huh.
or even sometimes the slow talkers. Like I have a sister who is just you've met her. She's
Yeah.
just one that floats through the wind in life and um so I've always been a little bit irritated when it comes to that kind of stuff, but
Oh wow.
yeah, I have had to learn some more patience, but I just hope I get better every day is all I can say about that.
I think
But
that's a
yeah,
great way to
patience.
put it.
Yeah.
Every day is a learning experience being a parent.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
learn about your children and their phases. I mean, I'm sure you. Let me first go. I've gotten too deep into the episode here without letting everybody know one of the qualifiers. So, to be on Dan Time, you do not. Your name does not have to be Dan. You need to have. If you don't know me already, that's your ticket to the show. So Emily, she already knows me, so she's in. But she actually has an extra story. One of your daughter's names is Dani,
Yeah,
Dani, which was
that's right.
named in my honor. From no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's what Danny Rubio thinks too. Um, it's actually a better story than what you think, Dan. So Danny, my daughter, my middle child, she we came up with the name Danny because I myself was named Danny for a couple days after my birth,
I,
and then last minute decision was changed to Emily before leaving the hospital.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so my mom had and dad had decided on Danny, and then the Social Security woman, that comes in, gets the name legalized and all that before you leave, came in, asked about the name. They said Danny, and my sister was in the room, and the story goes she had a meltdown about the name and wanted to name me after a porcelain doll that she had named Emily. And so, my mom said okay, and that's how I came about.
Emily,
But yes,
what
so
a
go ahead.
unique and just
I know.
beautiful story. I mean, I was halfway in, and I'm thinking, here you are. You've got the best female name in the palm of your hand that's ever been created. I mean, listen, I, I do this show not out of vanity for myself, but it's really celebrating the name because this is the debate is settled. It's fact. Dan is the best male name, and Danny or Danielle, and the whole family of the Dan names, it's just they're untouchable. So for
Yeah.
your parents to I mean they made the right call, but
Yeah.
I
Well, they
have
made the wrong final decision.
when I hear the end of the story, I, I have to excuse it because it's just a beautiful ending, and if there's any off ramp that should be taken when it really shouldn't have been taken, this is the only one.
Yeah.
I
You
don't know
don't
what
think
that
a
means.
wrench was thrown into my destiny?
I All right, all seriousness here. I can't picture you being anything other than Emily.
You can't. You want to hear
No.
something weird? Is
Yeah.
it strange that I internally feel more like a Danny than I do an Emily? And I've always felt that way.
Wow. Um,
Yeah.
that is, I'm almost speechless because I never knew this
Hmm.
story, and now I'm taking it in. I could see that. I could see
Yeah.
that.
I don't know if it was just being told the story when I was younger, and I don't know. I've never really liked I mean, I'm fine with it now, but as a child, I never really liked my name. I always thought it sounded like a grandma and like an old. I would say, tell somebody my name when I was young. They were like, "Oh, that's such an old-timey name." And I never took that as a compliment. I always was like, oh, I don't like that. And I don't know if that's what did it. I was like, I should have been a Danny. But yeah, I've always kind of had more of a connection with that name than with my own.
So
That's
you
why I named my child that.
now your first daughter, who I met, that's
Yes.
Lynn, Lenny.
Lenny. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Lenny. So my husband's mother was Lynn, and so we wanted to use her name. And then we played around with like a bunch of Lynn names, like Brooklyn, and all those kinds of names. But
Mm-hmm.
we eventually just settled on Lenny. And everybody that she meets asks her, "What's that short for?" And she gets irritated. She's like, "Nothing. It's just Lenny." So,
And now, so when you're expecting your second child, you find out it's a girl.
hmm.
You immediately know. Okay, the time is now. The time is upon us.
No, no, I didn't.
She's gonna be Danny.
No, so the only exception has been Lenny that we actually knew the name prior to going into the hospital. That was the only planned name we had. The other two, it was like down to the wire. And we were still like, I don't have any clue. But yeah, what we kind of did was we both made a list on our phones of names, and then in the hospital went one by one through the names and said yes or no, marked them off until we narrowed it down. And yeah, that was for Danny. That's how it came about.
I love it.
Danny Liv is her name, and the whole plan was that we were gonna name her Danny Liv and call her Liv because we had Lenny and then we were gonna have Liv.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so we did that. We made like little. She was gonna be going to daycare, and we had her little like name tags made with it that said Liv Cook on everything. And then she got home, and we just called her Danny. It felt more right. And so we majorly confused her at the beginning of her life because everybody at school was calling her Liv, everybody at home was calling her Danny, and then 2020 happened. Her daycare shut down, a new daycare opened, and we just signed her up as Danny Liv. But now she is, I told her she started kindergarten this year. I said, okay, so some people in your life call you Liv, some people in your life call you Danny, and some people in your life call you Danny Liv. You can now decide. And would you like to know her decision?
Yes.
She is Danny.
It's perfect.
Yes.
It's
So
just
she has now made the decision that she will be called Danny.
look. I was kind of kidding earlier about the Dan name and the Daniel family of names.
Hmm. Hmm.
Kind of kidding, but
Kind of.
I really do like. I mean, I like Danielle, but I love just Dani.
Yeah, that's it.
It's beautifully written. It's beautifully spoken and pronounced, and it probably fits her like a glove.
Oh my goodness, 100%. She
She
is
loves it.
a golden child, little angel babe.
Wow. Folks, if you're listening to the show and you yourself are expecting a child, or you're a dude and your girlfriend, your wife is pregnant, this is a fun time. Get your notes on your phone or on a piece of paper, scratch out your favorite names. If you're a guy, 9 out of 10 of them or 10 out of 10 will be scrapped. You'll have no shot. But come up with names, and just for fun, guys especially, throw out the names that have zero chance just for fun. I mean, I tried all of them. Harry, Larry, um, what's another one? I mean, Ralph. I got Bruce pretty close. And that
Oh, my husband wanted Bruce badly.
really,
Yeah.
it wasn't really a joke either. It was kind of, I'm just like, I tried with it, and I got a couple. Bruce, Natalie said, "Okay, I'll put it into the area of consideration."
Right.
She doesn't listen to the show that I'm aware of, so which is probably a good thing. Um, so I got the same phone that I've had for quite a while. Real quick, girl names. Now, Vivian was always going to be Vivian, but before we knew that Warren was going to be a boy, here's some of the names that we had on the list: Ray, Raye,
Mm.
Raven, Angelica, Elise, Raya, Raya. I do kind of like those Ray names: Raya, Ray, uh, Ember, Ariel, Oakland. I'm
Oh,
seeing
I
this
like that.
again for the first time. Oakland. I remember I liked that, but it is what it is. We ended up with it was going to be three W names. It ended up being Warren, Wyatt, and Vivian. So Vivian broke the
Yeah.
theme.
So same. We were gonna do all L's when he lived, and then we had Bailey as Leon.
I like it.
And I like it too,
Leon
but it didn't
Redbone.
stick. I don't know who that is, but
He's a
who's Leon?
songwriter.
Oh, well,
What
he's got a great name.
I like names that my criteria is it different? Yes, or kind of move it along,
Hmm.
and then is it easy to pronounce and pretty easy to spell? Yes, and if the answer is yes there, then move it to the top tier. I don't like super crazy names that your child for the all of their at least school age life is going to be. How do you spell that? How do you say that?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we could spend
There's
it.
some there's some good ones out there now, let me tell you.
Yeah, we could spend a whole episode on baby names. All right,
Hmm.
Emily, what do you all right, I've kind of broken parenthood or fatherhood down if you're involved, and I'm sure Taylor shares a lot of these duties with you. It's just
Hmm.
how it is. I mean, the days of dad sitting and the lazy boy watching the game for 3 hours and not doing anything, not cutting the grass, those days are over.
Yeah, not on my watch, Dan. Not
I
on my
don't
watch.
know who gets away with that. There's some guys do, but I don't. And I don't
No.
know that I would want to be like that. I wouldn't.
No. That's same with Taylor. He's a great dad and he's very involved and he wouldn't have it any other way.
If you're again, guys that are listening to the show, if you're getting freaked out a little bit, you got a baby on the way, you're going to be just fine. You don't have to just be spectacular in every moment. You got to be pretty good at mixing bottles, twisting caps and lids off and on, and rinsing and washing and and making sure when you go places that you've got the stuffy and you've got the blankie and you've got the bag with the other stuff that they need and the extra this and the that and the that and the that. That's all it is. That is all it is. And you got to stick to a schedule. If you get, Emily, I really don't want, I feel like I'm talking too much on this episode, but would you agree that if you get things like bath time is within about 15 minutes, always the same time?
Yeah.
Meal time is kind of always done this way. And then we go to bed and then we do it tomorrow. If you can
Yeah, schedules are important.
pull off all that stuff, I think moms or dads, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you make it work and yeah, just get in the groove and your schedule and there you go. There's your life for, for a
And
while and then it all changes and then you have a new schedule. And then right when you get used to that one, then it all changes again.
when you have your first child, like when Lenny was a baby,
Uh-huh.
how much fun did you have just
Oh my goodness, so
familiarizing your?
much fun.
You probably went to every playground in a
Oh my
15
gosh,
mile
yes.
radius. You get the stroller out. She's loving it. That's one of the best things you can do, folks. If you're wherever you live, if the climate allows for it, if you get yourself out of that house, you'll be able to tolerate. Well, first of all,
Yeah.
when a baby's screaming or a toddler's fussing, and you're outside, you don't have that noise bouncing off the walls. So that's
Hmm. Yeah, it doesn't come shooting right back at you so harshly.
how much fun was it? Get back to the question here. Uh, when it was just Lenny and just you and Lenny, and you do stuff with her. Can you close your eyes and remember some of those days?
Yeah, for sure. We went driving around just on Wednesday. So 2 days ago, we went driving around our old neighborhood, and it was very brought back a lot of memories that was of just, back when it was just the three of us. We drove by the old playground we used to go to. But yeah, having a first child is there's like a romance to it. It's just great memories there. I mean, not that I'm not having good memories now, but you add more in and things get chaotic, and I don't think you can soak in as much of the pleasures of it all. I mean, of course I try to, but yeah, things get chaotic and but yeah, it's life is great, and I don't know, I've not had this much fun ever in life than having my kids. They're great.
I just love hearing that.
Yeah.
It brings its own set of challenges, but if you have someone to draw on, another family member or friend that they've got their 14 and 17-year-olds, and you remember when those kids were 5 and 6 and 7 or younger, you kind of got those connections, those people to remind you, hey, listen, everybody tells you it goes by way too fast. You hear
So
that.
fast, yeah.
But you do kind of see, all right, this period of time, whatever the frustrations are, it's not going to be going on in 5 years. You'll be
No,
dealing with other challenges.
right. And of course it goes by fast because like you know how it is right now, you just wake up and you're racing against the clock every day. I
Emily,
mean, that's the truth of it all.
every
I mean, there's never enough time in the day just to get the simple things done.
how do you deal
So,
with some of those days where you can't get to everything and it's just you got to call it a night. You just have to, and you're sitting there and you're turning the lights off and you're like, I got to load the dishwasher, but I have to go to bed. I got to fold those
yeah,
clothes, but that's going to be have to be tomorrow.
I
Drives
know.
me completely
Yeah,
nuts.
I know. You just have to let it happen. You can't, as much as you can. Those dishes can sit. Life
Yeah.
doesn't have to be completely organized at all times. It's impossible when there's the three littles running around.
Yeah. How do you
And you
do
gotta set times to let loose.
hmm when it's time for a date night? Do you still occasionally go see like live music or something that's that you used to do? Or
Right.
I honestly have moved on from a lot of this stuff. I do like to go to a show though every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, so Taylor really loves going and seeing live music. It's has always been his thing. And, we don't get out much. And I know that like we need to do it more, but we just don't. We don't have family around or anything like that, can just like come over and babysit whenever. So we do get out, but it's very, very rare. But yeah, when we do, we try to go see some music if there's some playing or just go out to dinner and do stuff. But I was mentioning to you earlier, I mean, I can't hang like I used to. I cannot. But
Emily,
so we don't cut too loose.
are you ever sitting there? You're in the booth with Taylor. You're having a great dinner, great
Hmm.
conversation, and then your mind starts drifting a little bit, and all you can think about is your bed and brushing the teeth and getting ready to just call it a night. Again, do you ever just are you having a good time out and you're just thinking, well, this has been fun and this is still fun, but man, I'm just almost done.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, we're specifically the life that you and I are in right now with the ages of our children, we're in a constant state of tired. So,
That's it.
yeah, of course, but you gotta just, you know, force through that feeling just like you do every day and just keep going. But yeah, no, I think it's important to get those, times away. And of course, like we always will be out to dinner and stuff, and we're talking about the kids the whole time. But I mean, what else is there to talk about? That's our life, and that's our obsession. And but yeah, it's important to get away and remind yourself who you are and all of that stuff. But yeah,
Having a family, I don't know if you can relate to this when you have the little kids and you start thinking, I need to, first of all, I need to be the best version of myself that I can be in front of them. But you
right.
also start thinking about taking care of yourself. Do kids remind you of how short our time on this earth is, and that, hey, let's just enjoy it. It's not going to be like this forever. These kids are going to
Yes.
be 20, 25 years old, 35 years old, doing their own thing. We're going to be old and hoping that the phone rings and it's them. Uh, do you think along those lines where it just puts you a little bit in touch? I don't want to say with mortality, but of, let me just soak this in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always the goal too, to like be present and, be aware of the time we all have together. But, sometimes you get caught up in the chaos of it all too and forget that. But I try to. We try to do things specifically that, makes us more present and stuff at my house. Like we'll be like, no TV today for the kids. Like, no, let's sit around, let's enjoy each other and play a game and be present with each other. And so we'll do that. We consciously put activities together and stuff like that to where, we're with each other. We do a lot of outings and stuff like that. Not as much as we should, but we'll take them out in nature somewhere and, just all get in a creek somewhere and just be with each other. And that's the best. Like when those times happen, yeah, I'm super aware of like this is soak this all in because this is going to be over soon. Um, those people that say this always gets to me. They say one day your child's going to ask you to pick them up and hold them, and that's going to be the last time they do. And
Yeah,
that's so like hard hitting because that
yeah.
is the truth. One day it's going to be the last time, and you're not even going to know it, Dan.
I feel like I'm getting close with Warren. Um,
Uh,
I held him a lot. I'll never forget walking out of a breakfast spot one time out of town, and I was carrying him, and he was probably 4. It was a couple years ago, and he doesn't need to be held. I understand, but I'm
mm-hmm.
tall. I'm a little taller. I can handle it, and I just figure if I can hold my child, I don't care if they're 7 years old, and they're asking me to pick them up, I'm going to do it. And this lady was, it may have been our server, and she said, "Oh, you put that boy down. He's too big. You don't have to do that." Now I didn't say
Oh my
anything. I just kind of
gosh.
smiled and kept walking. But I see people walking into preschool. They're not carrying their 2.5, 3 year old like I am, but it's maybe not as practical. But my kids love it, and they're not going to need it or want it. And he's getting kind of close.
Yeah.
He's getting a little lanky, and it's just when you get up under the arms and you pull him up, there's just a lot of torso where it used to be. It used to be a little biscuit or whatever you want to say.
Yeah. A lot
He's
of torso
a lot of
here in this hole.
just dangling legs and it's just a lot, and so he doesn't just
Yeah.
lift off the ground the way he used to, but he still likes it. I think maybe another year. Um,
Yeah. Keep at it. Don't ever put him down. Can't
Wyatt
believe that lady
wants.
said that. How dare her?
I know. I just smiled and kept walking, and
Of course she did.
yeah, there's no need.
No.
Um, I do these on kind of following up on what you said there, where you're out with your children, and you're just in touch with, hey, this moment, this day, this activity. This it's kind of like a home movie reel. I'll look out the window
Yeah.
sometimes at the kids playing in the side yard, or we're driving somewhere and I look in the rearview mirror, and I kind of tell myself, this is a home movie, but it's just
Yeah.
one that you're not gonna be able to watch again.
Oh,
And I got to keep doing whatever I'm doing. So, like, I'll see them playing out in the yard, and I can go out there and play with them, or I might be busy since they're playing. I'm washing clothes or something. So it's like, uh, it's nice that they're out of the house, but I'll look out there and look at that moment for a few seconds, and I'll just take it in. You're not going to get to watch that again. There'll be a day when you're older, and if you live in the same house, you look out the window, those kids won't be there anymore because they won't be children and they'll be off, and you just
Yeah.
have the memories.
Mm.
So what a topic for us to just sit and explore. I had no idea we were going to do this. It's really
Yeah.
really touching,
Well,
and
good.
and I hope that people listening who've experienced this, or if you're getting ready to, again, if you are an expectant mom or dad, you can do this without help. Emily can attest to it. I can attest to it. If you got family that's nowhere close, you you can pull it off.
Right.
You gotta, whatever those hobbies are of yours that you do every weekend, kind of start stepping down from that a little bit. Get a little unattached to some of those things because
Yeah.
it's not going to be much of an option.
No.
What what do you do, Emily, when you just need some time, some Emily time?
I've really gotten into vintage lately, like vintage items.
Mm-hmm.
So, for a minute there, I had a little vintage booth, that I was, had a little booth at a store that would go out and hunt for some treasures and, resell them and all that. But, I'm not doing the booth anymore, but I still like to go to the estate sales or to the thrift store and just I find a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for when you're
Oh, you're looking for
seeking the past? I don't know. What's
relics.
the Yeah, relics, that's not the word. Like, I can't think of the term I'm thinking of. I bet people are screaming right now, like, but
Oh,
anyways,
they know exactly what it is, and they
yeah,
just
they know what it is. But nostalgia, that's what I
yeah.
was thinking of. Yeah. So I really like that kind of stuff. Like something you find just a little something and then be like, oh my gosh, my grandmother had this, or like this was something that I haven't seen since I was like in the early 90s or late 80s or whatever. And it gets me every time. Taylor was asking me earlier today, he was like, is there anything in your life that you can just have the memory of and you get like a warmth sensation? And I was like, yeah, when I find like vintage items, that happens to me. So, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if I'm ever get time that I just need to myself, I'm usually going and doing that kind of stuff because I can spend, man, so much time, like especially at these estate sales, like if it's an older person. And I mean, there's just so much more to it than just like, let me find something cool that I like to purchase. It's like this has a story behind it. This was part of this person's life. I don't know. I can spend hours just like going through somebody's stuff.
I
Is
could
that
see that.
weird? Yeah, I just like, I don't know. You can like really put a story together about, you know, a life. Like build in your mind, like this part of this person's life and probably had this kind of importance to them and
You know what
it's
I would find interesting if I had the time is going through like old, like really, really old correspondence from
hmm
just the turn of the 19th to 20th century, where people just they had to write letters, and they wrote a lot of them, and it wasn't all like romantic letters. It was just information because you couldn't text each other, call each other, and like
right.
try to put a little narrative together about somebody. I think that we've got some of that in our own family. I just haven't gotten my hands on it.
Oh my gosh.
I think my grandmother's got some letters that my dad still has. And my mom's, she's told me on her side about when my grandfather was in World War II on my mom's side, it was like 4 years between seeing each other, he and my grandmother. And so there were letters back and forth. I think she still has.
Yeah, that would be a gold mine if you came across that. That is, yeah, I love going through stuff like that, especially if it's something in the family. I haven't had luck on, I don't think we kept much of my grandmother's stuff, and I don't think at the time when my grandmother passed, I can remember my mom and my aunts going through her stuff and figuring out what they were going to keep and what they weren't, but I wasn't into it yet. So I think a lot of things probably got past me that would have been very interesting to look on and find the story behind. But
Do you or Taylor still have an older relative, whether it's like a great aunt or great uncle? Is there still somebody hanging around? Not, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not really dignified, but there's someone that's 92, 89, pushing 100. Don't really have anybody left. All my grandparents are gone.
no,
Anybody that you can still
yeah,
pick their brain and go like, "How you doing, Aunt Susie, Aunt Margie? It's so good to see you." You don't have anyone you can sit and just
no,
delicately talk to.
no. Yeah, my grandmother, my dad's mom passed, I don't know, like 5 years ago, maybe more than that. I'm not sure, but she was 98. But that was the last one we had
Mm-hmm.
in our family. But yeah, no. But she
Well,
had some stories.
well, Emily, I've got a few questions here. I want to get into them, and they're just like random Dan time, garbage time questions. Okay, first of all, I forget every single episode that I have, which have not been many, with people who really know me from that time period. I'm finally going to ask the question. We are
Do
about
it.
54 minutes, I think, 50 something minutes into the call. So, all you loyal, dedicated Dan Time listeners, here it is, episode 19. You've made it this far, this deep into this episode. Emily, I'm going to give you a chance to reveal it or what you think about it. What did Dan Time originally mean?
What did Dan t Oh, well, just having some quality time with Danimal. I mean, that includes an after party. That includes the pre-party. That includes just the random days off that we had and we would get lunch and just chat.
What was that
But
place across from, it was on 20th Street,
hmm
Ranelli's.
Yes,
I think this was after
Ranelli.
Fibers. This was sorority time period. That was a good lunch.
That was a great lunch.
But yeah, I think Jim said the same thing. There is a different interpretation, and I've asked someone who may have even bestowed it on me. I don't know, to come on the show. Haven't yet appeared. I wouldn't even call it a negative connotation or whatever, but there's a different perspective on Dan time. We'll just table it. We'll just table it for keep the mystery going.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm not sure now. I'm
okay.
intrigued to find out.
Who is a band or an artist that you liked when you were a teenager? This could be middle school or high school that you
Hmm.
still listen to today every so often,
Oh
or
man,
have
I
you
think I feel
cleared
like
them
I've.
all out?
Oh no, I still am tried and true to my musical taste. I mean the Beatles. Beatles are have always been my favorite, but one that was, I guess, played a big role in my high school years that I still just love is Weezer.
I remember now.
Yes.
Well, I remember having some Weezer conversations in
Yeah.
the sorority days.
Love Weezer. They're just good, happy music.
They are.
It's like a, can't believe I'm about to have this comparison, but like a Bob Marley.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get the same feels, the same
Hey, when you
happy feels from Weezer.
think about Weezer, they're really in a class by themselves.
Oh, for sure.
They're from a time
They're
period.
underrated.
There were some other people, other bands on the charts around that time, but
Mhm.
it's not like Nirvana, Pearl Jam. Yeah, I kind of put them in their own category.
Yeah.
And I think they're still together.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I saw them not too long ago, 2019.
Love it.
They came and played a free concert at UAB.
UAB, our shared alma
Yeah.
mater.
Yes.
Go Blazers.
Go Blazers.
Do you and Taylor,
Yes.
you and Taylor ever get out to Bartow Arena? Are you interested in the basketball games or the football games or equestrian?
I love sports, so I don't. No, we don't. Taylor loves sports.
Yeah.
If he goes to a sporting event, I'm typically not there, I guess. Maybe I am. I don't know. No, I don't go to the Bartow Arena for basketball.
Well, you're still a proud Blazer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm
Um,
still cheering. I'm still rooting for my team.
Emily, have you in the past or do you now? And this is actually a you and Taylor question, maybe because they make pairs of these things. Have you ever put on a snuggie?
This is a great question. Not only have I not ever put on a snuggie, but I've always wanted to put on a snuggie. I think about this, Dan. I think about this often.
I
Like, I
think
cannot believe I went through the whole snuggie phase and I never got to try it out.
there are some
Is,
things.
are they still around?
Oh yeah, they're still around.
Are they still big like they were?
They haven't gone away.
Okay.
And it seems like it's been at least 10 years they've been on the market. So maybe it's good to wait because if you got one now or the next couple of years, they've surely been improved upon.
Okay.
All the Amazon complaints have been addressed because,
Oh,
any product, someone's always got some sort of horrible experience. I would love to actually
yeah.
go on Snuggie, whether it's Amazon or wherever you get it, and just scroll down to the reviews and filter for 1 star. That's another question. Do you ever just delight yourself with reading negative reviews for the humor?
I get lost in a negative review spiral. Yeah, I love them. The
One of
way people can spend their time and devote to posting a complaint is just beyond me. But I love it. I love those people that do it.
one of my favorites is roadside motels. If you're planning a trip to see a relative and they live in like Gadsden or well anywhere, and you just Google one of the just motels in this little town, have a ball because any one of those hotel, they're surely going to have ratings because you
Right.
always have an
You got to.
experience at a motel. I've had some bad ones. I've never written about it, but if you've stayed in a motel that's far, far below even a Hampton, there's a
Hmm.
story to tell.
Hmm. Yeah, those would be some good ones.
Em-
Some good reads are those motels.
Emily, do you have a favorite comedian of all time, or maybe even a favorite comedian who's just sadly no longer with us?
Oh man, there's so many. I feel like there's far better comedians, but Chris Farley, I've always said, I got asked this question from one of my friends one time. He said, who would you want to party with, celebrity wise, dead or alive? And my answer, I thought about it. I told him, I said, I can't just give you an answer right away. I'm gonna have to really think about this. And it was Chris Farley.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I love him. But I think there's far funnier comedians. For the life of me, I can't think of one right now, though.
Chris Farley was just really untouchable,
Yeah.
and it's a shame that not so much that he's gone too soon. It is, but especially that I don't think that he wanted to be that character forever and ever. I think if he had been around longer, he would have gotten into some other roles. Probably would have mostly been remembered for that Three Stooges style comedy.
Right.
But man, he's got some great lines that are in Tommy Boy, in Black Sheep, that I'm not going to say would bring you to tears, but really touching. There's some moments
Right.
where he like all of a sudden pulls on your heartstrings. He
Yeah.
had a way with that for sure.
Yeah. Zach Galifianakis might be funnier to me though, like more humorous.
Oh yeah.
And your brother kind of reminds me of Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, I love it.
He does. And when you were texting me earlier about Travis not wanting to do the podcast, I was saying like, oh man, everything that he says is gold. And I think I listened to a podcast with Zach Galifianakis, and or no, it was Comedians in Cars. Do you watch that ever on
Oh, I love it.
Netflix? Oh, I love it. So like, I mean, I've watched all of them like a million
That
times over.
is that the
But
Seinfeld one?
yes,
Love it.
but he says in his episode of Comedians in Cars, he says that he has the problem of people thinking he's trying to be funny when he's trying to be serious. And he tells a story of him at his like giving a speech at his sister's wedding and getting emotional and people laughing.
Oh, I think I've
And
seen that one.
yes, but I feel like that could happen to your brother. He's just funny. Like just his being is funny.
I'm going to tell you, yeah, Travis is always at the ready
Mhm.
to just deliver. He's not like a one-liner, but it is a blast getting around him. There is nobody that makes me laugh harder than my brother Travis.
Yeah,
And
he's really good.
I've had Robert on the show. Robert and I crack up. I think Robert would agree with that as well.
Yeah,
He's got a knack for it, and
he's
he
got a way.
Travis listens to these episodes. He's maybe sometimes 3 or 4 behind. That's okay. He'll catch up. He will,
Okay.
one day in June, he'll say, "Hey, I just listened to the Emily Haynes Cook episode.
Mhm.
Here, he'll, he'll react to it. I
I
won't
don't think
say
I'm gonna
anything.
convince him to do anything. I think he's probably set with his decision, but he should come on your podcast. He's great. So Jimmy's podcast episode was great too, and I really want to listen to Jimmy's podcast. I didn't know
Yes.
he had one until I listened to your podcast episode.
Okay. Yeah. Let me go ahead and plug. Gimme 10. It's GIMMIE, the number 10 podcast. They're great. It's all stripped down. They don't edit it. They don't care. Sometimes I wish I could just take a dose of that medicine because I do try to make this sound as good as I can. But they just let it rip. They hit record and they start talking. There's no intro music. There's no outro music. And every episode used to be exactly 10 minutes, just about. Sometimes they play around with it. I think the second one is 30 something minutes, but they're great. And I'm glad that they're
Yeah.
back and everybody should check them out. They are not trying to they're not trying to wow you with the production factor, but if you give it a shot and you listen to these two guys, you're going to say, I want to hang out with these dudes. It's JT and Jim Powell.
Yeah, I like the concept. Just a quick 10 minutes. And what really sold me on it was when he said that, he's like, it's a quick 10 minutes on random topics. There's an episode about Halloween candy, and it's a two-parter.
They
I was like, it was just needed because, I mean, I have had my share of conversations um, to friends. Sorry if you hear my dog in the background. Friends and family about Halloween candy, and they can get lengthy.
I may put a teaser in here. I just talked to Jim yesterday. I think they're doing a 2 episodes on pizza, and it may be like a select little group of pizza. I don't know if it's restaurants or your grocer's freezer. I don't know, but it's going to be great.
Nice.
Tell me about that dog of yours. I wasn't going to ask, but now that
Sorry.
he's on the episode, so we got to talk about him
Well, it's
or
a
her.
she. Yeah, it's a she. She's a queen and should be treated like one. Her name is Mavis, and she is just the light of my life, Dan.
Hmm.
She's a second mother to my children.
Do you let her
She's
babysit?
great. No, but she could. I'll tell you that much.
Can she pick up
She's
little?
talented enough.
Can she pick up Bailey by the
Yeah, by the ear.
back of his shirt, or and just carry him around?
Yeah, she does that.
What kind of dog is
She
she?
she's part chow. Um, she's mutt, but she looks the most like a chow, but I think her mom was a pit bull, but she doesn't look anything like a pit bull. But she's part chow and she's great. I'll tell a quick story about I say she's part mother to my children. She really is. Um, every night, bath time, she's there. She trusts nobody else other than herself to watch over these children when they're in the bath. And when Danny was first born, you bring him home and they say, only sponge baths for however many days, weeks it is. So we were in that time frame, and sometimes a sponge bath isn't just going to do it. So I said to Taylor, I said, why don't we do this? I'll get in the bath and you hand her to me and I'll put her in my lap and I'll bathe her that way. Just get her good clean. He's like, okay, let's do it. So I get in the bath water fills up. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Hand her to me. Taylor hands me baby Dani. I grab her and I put her in my lap to start bathing her. And from a distance, I look over, full charge speed.
Hmm.
Mavis runs and jumps into the bath to try to save. I guess she thought I was going to drown her.
Mm.
But this is no joke. This really happened. And it could have ended up really bad because she could have landed on top of her or scratched her. You know how their skin's so like soft at that point when they're brand new. Scarred her for life. But luckily none of that happened. But she was trying to save that baby.
Her maternal instincts kicked in.
Yes.
She
Because she really is. She's the most maternal dog.
she
I mean, if the kids are around, do not approach.
she probably believes that Danny is her child and that
I
you're
mean, yeah.
just doing a pretty outstanding job of watching after her child.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a great nanny to her children.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
she this thing she can't change the diapers, so I mean you're helping her out a lot.
Yeah. I'm not getting paid, but
Okay.
yeah, she's a great dog.
Um, I gotta drop in real quick. We won't say a whole lot, but a little ode to Caesar. I don't know how long he's been.
Mm,
How long he's been? I don't.
he's
I don't.
left us.
I don't know the story on Caesar, and but I miss him. I liked him. I don't know how much he
Yeah.
liked me, but what a great guy.
He was, I mean, if you can call him a guy, remember the story on Caesar.
Well,
Do you remember, Dan?
I'm struggling
The
here.
the condition he had? So he was like a pioneer, a cultural pioneer. He uh he had a condition. I don't even know the term, but he had a condition where I had to put him on prescription food. Do you remember this?
Oh,
This all
okay.
developed while we were at Firebirds. I was like, something is wrong with my cat. My cat's, I keep having to take
That's
him back
right.
to the vet. He's like, I would go home and he would be wailing in pain, but in his litter box.
Hmm.
And so I took him to the vet and they were like, yeah, he's got basically a small penis,
It was entirely too small.
entirely too small. And so I had to put him on prescription food
Hmm.
because his urine would crystallize and cause him pain trying to come out.
Oh.
And so he was on a very expensive prescription food to fix this problem, but he would still have flare-ups. Well, one day it was severe. I came home and the screams were just awful. And it was, of course, on a weekend. The vets were closed. It was nighttime.
Hmm.
and he was starting to act lethargic. I was like, okay, something is very wrong. He's gonna die. So me and Taylor took him to the emergency vet, and they brought us in and they said, okay, well, we're really glad you brought him in because, I mean, a couple of hours and his bladder would have exploded. But I was like, okay, well, this keeps happening. I'm having to pay these vet bills. Is there a way we can fix this? And the suggestion from this vet was to go ahead and transition him.
Um, to give him a
And
sex change.
yes, and me and Taylor proceeded to giggle like little schoolgirls in the office of this veterinarian, and she was just not happy with us.
I mean,
Just could not find the humor in it, and we would compose ourselves, take breaths, wipe away the tears that we were having, try not to look at each other,
these aren't.
start having the conversation again, and would just explode with laughter the minute she started speaking. And this continued on for at least 30 minutes. She was getting very aggravated, but
Emily,
we didn't get the procedure. But
he's in his darkest hour, and you're cackling, and get a hold of yourself. What in the well?
I know,
Look,
I know, Dan.
sometimes humor is comforting in times where I know that it was difficult for you, and maybe that was just
Mm-hmm.
how you handled it. I mean, it's a very unique situation, and you don't want him to be in pain, but
No, I had no idea that this was an option for animals.
and so that was just that was the end of that.
That was the end of that. We didn't get the procedure done because it was like $12,000 or something ridiculous. But we kept him on a good healthy prescription diet and he lived out the rest of his years. And I don't really know, the way he left us is a little bit of a mystery. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
Because he was just to the end, he was just as spry as could be, had all the energy, was still acting like a young kitten and just his old Caesar self. And then just one day, I think he had a heart attack, is what I think it was.
hmm.
But
Well, God rest
gone
his
too
soul.
soon. Yeah,
My cat Trudy is 10. I got her she was given to me the first 6 months that I lived here.
yeah.
So she just turned 10. It's a lot of
She's got a
things.
minute.
Yeah, and we have a couple kittens that we adopted, I would say September-ish. I don't remember when it was, but yeah, I like cats, and cats
I
are
love cats.
it's
I love cats. I would have a million if I could.
Trudy has
I
not.
have a new one.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, his name is Ernie.
Ernie, how do you select these names?
Well, Ernie has thumbs. Have you heard of these cats?
No.
Polydactyl?
Oh, okay. He has a opposable thumb.
Yeah, opposable thumbs. Well, no, not a non-opposable,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah, he just has thumbs. But apparently they're called polydactyl, but they're also called Hemingway cats because get this, Ernest Hemingway would only have these types of cats. How weird is that?
And how rare are they?
I think from what I've read, and the story gets kind of weirder, is that if in the US, if you have a polydactyl cat, and it's a crazy percentage, it's like a 90% chance they are direct descendants of a cat that was owned by Ernest Hemingway.
Get
Like
out of
he
here.
populated, I'm not joking, he populated the United States with these cats. And I have one, and so his name is Ernie.
I got to look him up now.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of old Ernest.
So, yeah, we've got 3 kids, 3 cats. I mentioned at the top of the episode, or actually before we got started, I'm just going to drop it here. If you like to have a beer, you like to have a glass of wine, some vodka, whatever, and you have kids, you have babies and toddlers, you got to ask yourself, why? What? Why am I trying to have a drink here? I'm not going to be able to relax. I mean, maybe if you want to stay up late, which I don't. So
Hmm.
I haven't drank in about 5, 6 weeks, and I wasn't drinking much, but I just thought, well, what's the point?
Hmm.
So I just stopped. I'm just the next time that I can, probably when we go out to dinner, the next time Natalie and I go out for something, but I have just put it to the side.
Right.
It's not. It's no big deal, really. Um,
Right.
that could change any day now, but I want to throw that out there for people. If you're trying to work in a Jack and Coke and you're at home and there's just fussing and uh, screaming, all those
It's not gonna
lovely
do much.
sounds that go on in the house at 8 o'clock at night, and you don't, you're not gonna be able to enjoy it.
Right.
Now, again, if you
No.
if you wait until the babies go to bed and you have a cocktail at 9:15 on a Wednesday night, then have at it. I go to bed at 9:15 if I can. What time do you usually
Oh man, Dan. Do I usually go to bed?
do you go ahead and just stay
I
up?
I stay up. I push through. But that's just always how I've been. But yeah, I've like I was up till 1 last night.
There for me
But
there's a cutoff. I know I can get away with it sometimes if I want to stay up till midnight, but if I stay up till 2, that's
oh
that's the
yeah, no,
danger
two's
zone.
yeah, no, two's where you start the next day. There's guilt.
I
If
stayed
you
up.
stay up till 2, I'm just like I replay it over in my head the next day. Like I cannot believe I stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning. But no, one's pushing it every night, 12 o'clock probably. Between 11 and 12, I go to bed.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Everybody I talk to, they're like, "What?" when I say that, but I have to. I have to get. That's when I get the time that I need for myself is after the kids are in bed. And these people who wake up at 5 in the morning and get the hour in before their kids wake up, or the 2 hours, or whatever it is, I don't see how they're doing that. That's just I
But
can't do that.
that's partly me.
You are that person, aren't you?
Saturday morning,
The 5 o'clock.
I can't
That's how
wait.
Taylor is.
And when it's,
He
yeah,
only wants to do it on the weekend though, like wake up that early.
it's the only time. And still, Wyatt, our second child, is the last one to sleep and the
Hmm.
first one up. So he'll
Mm.
keep you up, and he will. Um,
He's looking for an after party.
he's like, where's the after party? Let's get,
Yeah.
why is everyone? He knows that the house is quiet, the lights are off. But yeah, so Saturday morning hits. It's 6 something. I don't get up at 5 anymore, but yeah, I just try to tiptoe out of the room and not make like I got to feed the cat, so that makes a little bit of racket, and then like get the coffee going. If I can get the cats fed, the coffee made, I'm good. Okay, well, Emily, this has been great. I I am actually going to have a. This is for anybody listening. If you've listened to every episode and you hear me say at the end, "Oh, let's have you back on for a second episode," you think I'm probably just saying that. Well, in a couple weeks, you're going to see the return of a previous guest. So get ready for that. And Emily, I wanted to use that as an example. I'd love to have you back so we can explore some other parenthood topic or anything else. Would you come back on?
Absolutely. Anytime. I
And
had fun doing it. And it was good catching up.
it was great.
Yeah.
Where do you guys like to vacation when you get a chance to get everyone in the wagon with the luggage thing on the top and
Yeah.
the children's music playing?
We Taylor travels for a living, so he does lots of traveling, not for a living, but I mean, yes, for a living, but he's not gone all the time. But when he does his work travel, if we're able to, we always tag along. we really like, or I'm speaking for myself, I guess. I really like going to new places and seeing, you know,
Yeah.
trying out new things is my favorite, is just to go somewhere that I've never been to and just see what's around. So, but Taylor loves the beach, so we go to the beach every year, probably multiple times a year. But yeah, but I always like to go the new route and see what's out there. We did a trip, and I mean I'd been here before, but it'd just been a long time. We went did a trip to Chattanooga during the spring, and that was a great trip.
I've got family in Chattanooga. I
Oh,
love
I like it. It's so pretty there.
it's just wonderful. It's so
Yeah.
scenic.
Yes.
And there's historical sites.
I love that.
It's a great downtown area.
Mhm.
I'm a big Chattanooga fan.
Yeah.
Another little dart on the map, Danville, Illinois. There's a lot of Danvilles, but
Oh.
I did an episode a few weeks back with the general manager for the Danville Dans.
Oh, nice.
There's a summer league baseball team up there. It's about 2.5 hours south of Chicago. I'm just happy to put in another mention of that town.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to get up there in the summer.
that'd be fun.
Look it up. Check them out on Instagram. Find their community page or whatever. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Emily, anything else you want to plug, promote?
I don't think so. I don't know. Just you're doing a great job, Dan.
Thanks, Emily. I'm thankful for our friendship, which again
I am too.
goes back so many years. We can skip a few years. We can come back to the fold, and it's
Nothing's changed.
a lifetime friend is. That's another thing, folks, and I'm going to put it in the remember section here. Remember, even if it's been a few years, reach out to an old friend. They'd love to hear from you. There's nothing in life like good friendships. You can make all the money in the world. Actually, your family, my dad likes to say, nobody loves you like your family. That's very true. But build your network. It's never too late but you don't want to be 40, my age, 44, 45, and you just don't have anybody of importance or meaning. And if you're waiting tables and your restaurant just happens to serve a fresh squeezed lemonade, and you're going to that table, and there's a little child there, and it might be a little tart, it just may be a little strong. Make sure you lean in when you hand that little kid's cup to that child and say, "All right, take your little
Take
sip."
a little sip. Make sure it's not too strong. Oh man, never forget.
I wish you guys were there. It happened. I thought nothing of it, but Emily was within earshot, or she saw it, and the legend lives on.
Yes,
Have
we'll
some
never die.
have some fun with the people you work with. Have some fun with the experience that you're in right now, and make some friends. It's a fun thing to do, because you might have a podcast in another 8, 9, 10, 17 years if there's still a thing, and you could do a show just like this one. Okay,
That's
Emily.
right. Well, thanks, Dan.
You guys have a great weekend, Emily, you and your family. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. And we'll see you guys, the Dan Time listeners, next Sunday on the Dan Time podcast. Have a great week. All right. If you love that episode, if you're enjoying the Dan Time podcast, be sure to download and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can reach me at dantimepod@gmail.com. If you really want to connect with Dan Time through the week, visit any of the social media pages. I'm on X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can't miss me. And if nothing else, as I've said before, just talk about the show. If you're having a good time with it, tell your friends about it, send a text about it. I appreciate you as a listener. Hope you have a great week. I'll see you next Sunday.